Just 3 exercises and you can be immortal. You can't, but if you do these 3 things, you will certainly live a lot longer. You will also enjoy the years that you have much more. So without further ado, there are 3 things that I recommend people do every single day, and it doesn't take very much. Just a couple minutes of each of these things will go a very long way. The issue is, if you do 0 of them, it can absolutely wreak havoc on every part of your body. The first and foremost thing is bouncing. And the reason this is at the very top of the list has a lot to do with the fact that once your feet start to lose their elastic properties, once you start to lose your ability to have that spring in your step or have that spring of youth, people seem to deteriorate very quickly. It also significantly reduces the options that you have available to you for physical activity. And as you probably know, the key to longevity is to do things that are fun and active, and don't eat too much, of course. So bouncing is really important. It also drives the venous return, so deoxygenated blood back up. Gravity is basically pushing it down, so it needs a little bit of help. In fact, your calf muscles are often referred to as your second heart. And the other reason that you want to bounce is because it helps move lymph. And lymph is your immune system juice. That's a very technical way of looking at it. But basically, it's the transport for your immune system, basically. And if your lymph doesn't move around very well, it doesn't circulate, it causes all kinds of really bad problems. So just a few minutes of bouncing can be really beneficial. And unlike your heart, the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump, so it doesn't actually move stuff around. You need to move stuff around. So a higher frequency of something like this is quite important, especially if you want a healthy immune system. So what do I mean by bouncing? Now, probably you think of jumping rope or something like that, but it's okay. But if I were just going to pick 1 or 2 things, I would want something that explores 3-dimensional space just a little bit more. So jumping rope is very up and down. It's not really like any athletic movement you would want to do. So you're much better off moving around in space. And so I teach people like the horseshoe shape for bouncing. So rather than just being here and look, nothing wrong with it. You can get some of your kicks in this way, but I really like front to back weight shifting and also side to side weight shifting. So this is my primary preference for any kind of elastic bouncing through the calves. And as you get more competent with that modified Jenga from capoeira, I like to even extend and twist open to the side, swing, jump, swing, back, bump, bump, 1, 2, 3, bump, 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 and you can actually get a lot more hang time. And it's just a much more athletic type of movement that's teaching you to coil and uncoil, as well as cover front to back and side to side, which I like far better. There are other options available to you. You can spring on one leg, and once again, moving side to side, front to back, and incorporating some multi-directional kicks can be really beneficial. If that's pretty off limits for you to start out with, which for even a lot of strong folks it is, you can start by just relaxing and lifting your heels off the ground a little bit and starting to work that jumping type of movement. And we won't go into too much detail, otherwise this would be a several hour long video, but bouncing is the #1 thing. Best case scenario, you do 5 minutes of bouncing a day, and you know, a couple times a day would be great. You know, 2 minutes 3 times a day, 5 minutes twice a day. There are a lot of ways to split it up. Certainly I find with myself and my clients that if you do a little bit in the morning, it really does get the blood flowing. And if you keep that ability to balance, if you keep that elasticity and strength in your feet, ankles, knees, and hips, it stays with you. But if you really ignore it, it just doesn't go well, quite frankly. So bounce is the number one of the 3 do or die daily exercises that I recommend. And it's primarily to keep that attribute of elasticity, which I now consider the ultimate athletic attribute. In fact, I created a whole program specifically for that one attribute because eventually everybody comes around and starts to prioritize that. We all go through a bit of a cycle. Like I used to want like the biggest arms possible or the tightest, bumpiest stomach muscles possible, but eventually everybody comes around to wanting to move quickly and easily without feeling any pain at the same time. So bouncing is training that elasticity along with some of those other benefits that we mentioned earlier, from blood flow, lymph flow, etc. The next thing we're going to talk about is balance. And you saw with that modified Jenga pattern where I'm shifting front to back, I'm also shifting side to side, moving in 3D space. It requires a ton of balance, especially as you start twisting your body open and closed as you move through space. The other way to do it is more static. So more static balance would be standing on a single leg, and my personal favorite, the airplane, which really helps improve the motor control and strength in the hips. So you think your belt buckle or your pelvis is actually going to point straight down, point to the inside of your foot, and then twist all the way in and point to the outside of your foot before returning to that strong position there. The other balance that I like to include is the ball of foot balance. This is especially great if you start working on some sissy squats and hip hinges. By lifting the heels, you really get that force to transmit all the way along the backside. I know that you've probably been told you should never, ever, not ever lift a weight with your heels off the ground, but of course, like most things we're taught, that's pure nonsense. You can easily add a small weight to this with the heels off the ground and get an excellent hamstring stretch and back strengthening exercise. So balancing on the balls of the feet or a single ball of the foot, and also going through that airplane would be my top favorite static balancing exercises. Nice thing about that is it's very meditative too. It kind of forces you to slow down a little bit, and I think we can agree that that's a very valuable skill. So a little bit of balancing really improves your fall prevention. So the elasticity, the balancing, really improve your ability to maneuver through space while you're standing. Also reduces your chance of falling because you do start to incorporate some body movements. And once again, I can't go all the way into the elements of balance, which include your vestibular system and your vision, because as you'll practice, if you do a minute of balancing on one leg every day, moving your eyes, moving your head, closing your eyes, and moving your head, really dial up the difficulty of balance quite a lot, and it forces your other system, proprioception in your foot, ankle, knee, hip, core, to basically triple their effort, or at least you're trying to keep balance with just that system because you're giving such a chaotic stimulus to the visual and vestibular system, which help you with your balance under normal circumstances. So we have bouncing, we have balancing, and the last one we have is rolling. Rolling is fantastic. It is perfect for fall preparation. Fall preparation is, in the event of a fall, can you not break? So that's what I help people try to do is learn how to do a forward roll and a backward roll, so that way in the event of a fall, which we're all going to fall at some point, you don't splat, but you actually learn how to distribute the load across as many joints and as much surface area as possible. And that would look like this. And of course, just watching that once through, you should be able to do it perfectly. It's ridiculous. Actually, learning the forward shoulder roll does take progression, and it's better to do it from the floor first. So the two rolls that I'll show you today are a hollow roll and a shoulder roll, and I usually start both of these from the floor. So the shoulder roll, I have people place a left hand on the ground. You're going to reach your left toe above your left shoulder, and these three limbs that are in the air are going to reach. So I'm going to reach my hand to the floor, my foot to the floor, and I'm going to come back out around. And then I'm going to reverse that motion. And if you can't get all the way there, just do a partial range of motion, and eventually you'll find that it's much easier. So kind of increase that range as you work your way back. Now, the next exercise, the next rolling exercise, is a hollow roll. And the slower you do this, the better it's going to be. So start with a nice hollow position. You can bring in the lever to make it a little bit easier, but the goal is to not let my legs or hands touch the ground as I roll. So whatever you need to do to slowly control that movement as you come around, and as you find it easier, you increase the lever, nice and slow. And what's great about this is it also illuminates where your challenges are in your body. So you'll find that maybe rolling from your stomach to your back is very easy in one direction, but not so easy in the other direction. And that would be where you might want to prep with some static or dynamic rotations and then go back and try that again. The other nice thing about the ground is that it's like the world's biggest foam roller. It's like the world is your foam roller, basically. And pain has a lot to do, I mean everything to do, with your nervous system and its sensitivity to certain stimuli. So interestingly enough, I find that people who roll around on the ground every single day become a little bit less sensitive to the minor aches and pains. And pain is a hierarchy. That's why there's that old, it's not a joke, but it's like a thing we've heard where you hurt something and then, you know, the guy hurts his leg, breaks his leg, or gets shot and breaks his own pinky to distract from the pain. Of course, that's ridiculous, but the idea is correct, is that pain is a hierarchy. So you are also reducing potentially hypersensitivity to pressure by being able to maneuver on the ground. So it's great for the pressure. It's also good for building core strength, and it's also just a fantastic life skill, especially the shoulder roll. And finally, it does show you where those asymmetries are. And the slower you go, the more you really own that ability in all those different planes of motion. So roll, bounce, balance. If you do 5 minutes of each every day, that's 15 minutes. And that might seem like a lot at first, but as you start exploring more about what attributes or traits are really worth developing, you'll notice that you don't have time to do everything, but there are a few key traits that are crazy important. And if you do 0 of them, the cost is very high, but if you do just a little bit, the benefit, the reward, the return on your investment is magnificent. So roll, bounce, balance. I challenge you to do 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 5 minutes each, and you would be surprised at how much more springy you feel. These are also a great way to prep for heavier lifting, whether you're going for some handstand push-ups or some deadlifts or some heavy sandbag carries. And this whole idea of what exercises and what attributes are so crazy important that they're worth doing every day is actually how I came up with the Primal Athleticism program. I asked myself, what things would I recommend someone do every single day as part of a daily practice? And this is what I came up with. So roll, bounce, balance are the top 3. And of course, in Primal Athleticism, I go into crawl, climb, carry, rub, squeeze, shake. And anyway, I'll save that for another video perhaps, but I do challenge you to do this for 2 weeks and note the difference. Even after the first day, you might notice a pretty big shift in your mobility as well as your strength for doing other exercises. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you next time.